Hey everyone, Tactics here, and in this video I'm going to be going over some new strategies that have evolved for some of the bosses in Mythic Manaforge Omega, whether that be because of nerfs to the encounter or because we have a ton more output thanks to things like Turbo Boost launching today, as well as the stacking raid buff. By far the most impacted encounters are going to be Forgeweaver Araz as well as Dimensius. However, I have some brief notes for Nexus-King as well. Know that I won't be going super in depth on all of the mechanics or anything like that, since I do have those standalone videos available. Instead, I'm just going to focus on what specifically is different for all these encounters and what those new strategies actually accomplish. You also notice a bit of a different POV here, as I am using footage from Banter, since I haven't personally been streaming any of our like re-clears or alt raids or anything like that. So he's one of my guildies, the Hunter Goat. I'll link his stuff down below, so make sure you check out his stream and all his content. Now, let's get into it with Forgeweaver Araz, where we're off the bat. There's a strategy some people have been using for several weeks now, which is pretty good. It's a lower coordination strategy, and that's putting the add debuffs behind the portals instead of in front of them and using a knockback. Less coordination required, less setup required, and this is just, I think, generally a good idea if you're someone who's on this boss now, or getting this boss shortly or whatever, and it makes it, you know, again, a lot less thinking. Everyone knows they just go immediately behind the portal. There is something I do want to note for these early portals, which I'm not sure we do here, but something beneficial for the first two ad sets specifically is to have a Warlock gate dropped from the middle of the room to the other side of this portal, and that's because the soak timing is very tight. If you're someone that gets assigned, for example, to these ads, you have to run behind this, and then the tank soak is going to immediately go like over here, and it's very hard for those people, if they're low mobility or whatever, to actually get to the soak if they're assigned to get in that soak. So a Warlock gate helps with that specifically. Now, just keep playing. Basically, what this means is that you're only going to be required to have really 1 to 2 CCs per ad set. The standard would probably be like a slow. Oh, there's that Warlock I was talking about, by the way. There it is. But the standard would be like a slow and a stun. But things like Binding Shot, things like maybe even Ursul's if you have enough damage, those things can kind of solo CC an ad set as well. Ring of Peace, that kind of thing. So you need a lot less CCs on these ads because they're dying so much quicker. Another nice thing. So you can drop down with this strategy to like 2 CCs max per set, which is very, very nice for sure. Same deal here. We're going to be focusing this first echo. There is a strategy as well where some people are immediately swapping to the second echo as well and just killing it off. I'm not going to recommend that because I actually recommend a strategy where you skip the entire second intermission entirely. If you're not able to do that, then it can totally be beneficial to just swap to the second arcane echo. But let's talk about the strategy I'm referring to, where we're actually going to Bloodlust in the first intermission. So let me get to the intermission. Basically, our goal here with how much extra damage we have is that we're going to use Bloodlust at the end of this phase for healing, because we're all going to be pooling our damage cooldowns or whatever for this first burn. That's when we're going to Bloodlust now, on the first burn instead of the second burn. And the whole goal here is that we are going to be pushing the boss below 15% health before the start of the second intermission, allowing you to skip an intermission entirely. And these are like one of the more dangerous phases, I would say, of this fight, especially if you're doing the strategy where you're running behind the puddles with the ads. It's a lot easier to do that first phase, and this phase is very, very dangerous. We're still spreading out, we're still assigning, you know, healers and DPS across the various collectors, but then we're lusting here again. We got to around 6 stacks when we're lusted. These collectors are all below 20% health. We're going to finish them off, and then we're in the burn. We still have, notably again, full Bloodlust in this burn. That is very, very important. We still have our Bloodlust available, and we're getting the full Bloodlust value in this burn. And again, the goal is sub 15% before the start of the next phase. Getting the boss below 35% is usually good enough in this burn. This is our alt raid. We were minus 1 DPS, and we were able to get the boss to 30%. So we're going to push within a minute. We have a minute to do 15% boss HP. In our main raid with everyone alive, I think we push him during this burn. It's kind of crazy. So your damage, I think, even if your damage is fairly low, this is a relatively realistic breakpoint, especially, again, once Turbo Boost hits, once you start getting more and more stacks of the raid buff. As you're going to see here, we're going to push, I believe, I think just on time. Actually, we still have like 15 seconds left before when we push. So the ads will despawn when you push here, by the way, so you don't even need to focus these last ad sets. They just disappear. And you will see we did get an extra Arcane Echo, so the tank that has that Echo is just off to the side, and they're just going to stay in that corner this whole phase, where everyone else goes to the normal spot. So eliminates one of the harder parts of this fight, reduces the overall coordination. I think generally, if you're into this boss, this is probably a good idea to use these adjusted strategies for Forgeweaver specifically. Let's move on now to talk briefly about Nexus-King. This is pretty straightforward. There's not really a lot that has changed with this fight specifically. I will say 4 healing is totally possible now if you want to do that for whatever reason. That being said, 3 healing is easier with everyone having more stamina, with the healing amp increase, that kind of thing. So I would still actually recommend 3 healing. And the reason for that is having a 4th DPSer allows you to do so much more boss damage over the course of this fight, which lets you shorten your phase 3, which means less room to make mistakes. So I would still recommend 3 healing. And the only thing I wanted to point out is one thing that damage does give you, and that is the ability to just outright kill the dragon during the burn phase. And this obviously, it is beneficial. It is something you want to do because it obviously means you're maximizing damage. But what that does mean is if you're overkilling this dragon by too much, you want to make sure that you're hitting the Nexus-King more during phase 2 and not necessarily cleaving off the dragon, if that makes sense. Now, one thing I do want to note, I'll fast forward here to the end, is that the claws, if the dragon is dead, the claws at the end of the phase do not actually happen. Like they go out here, we're going to kill the dragon. These are going to deal 0 damage. No one needs to hit a single defensive. Boom. No damage. So that is a big benefit of actually killing the dragon before those claws go off, is you get to save a defensive for this phase as well. So not only is it boss damage, like our god is 32% going into this phase, but also you get to save a defensive for this phase, which is quite useful if you get assigned to like an early star as an example. But not much has really changed for this boss fight. I just wanted to point that out now that people are actually killing the dragon. There is a benefit to doing so. If you're ever killing it by too much, maybe peel some damage off in P2, hit Nexus-King a bit more. That brings us to Dimensius, where I wanted to talk about 2 different things. So first, this strat that we're going to go over in this video is the strategy we did to not need to hold damage, or to minimize the amount of damage we needed to hold. There is also, before getting to that, a strategy that I've seen going around for a single Warlock, because this is a question I've had a lot. Hey, we don't have 2 Warlocks. What do we do? And I've seen a couple actually different strategies for One Warlock teams to use now. Let me get to a spot where we're on an individual side now. So let's go over those 2 single Warlock strategies. So strategy 1, you can have your single Warlock on one side. What you're going to do is you're going to want to make sure that you're Venn diagramming the gravities again. So usually our strategy with the gravities, it's going to come out in a second here, we're going to stack them just in a line. That's perfect. Make sure it gets picked here, right? This is the usual strategy that we're going to be doing now, with that there's only 2. If you have one of the One Warlock strategies, you would go back to the side and you would overlap. This does technically allow you to get them a little bit quicker. You have to wait a little bit for these to overlap when they come in a little, like about like here. Notably, the overlap happens before it actually looks like they're overlapped. You have a bit more of a grace period, and that allows you to pull down both players faster. And the goal of that is it allows you to gate faster, and then your One Warlock can then throw down another gate from middle to the other side, and then they can gate. So that is the first strategy with a single Warlock. The second strategy for a single Warlock, I'll actually go to the gate section here, is you don't gate to the middle. This gate instead, if this was the Warlock side and this wasn't, it would go towards this way a little bit more. And your actual group spot would be like over here. So this group would be gating and walking a little bit, and then this group would just be walking a little bit. And so in order to do that, like we can actually gate here, is you do still want to stack more mobile players on the side without the Warlock, because they will need to run to like here basically. And then on top of that, you will need decent mobility out of this, because the left side is going to need to get back around for the knockback that immediately follows. And also, you're going to need to make sure that you're keeping this area clear of puddles. So 2 different strategies to handle if you only have a single Warlock. You can kind of pick whichever one is better for your group. I've seen videos of people using both of those strategies, so it just kind of depends on which one you want to use. Now, let's get to the no damage hold strategy, which is what we're doing here on this boss. So one, nothing has actually changed in how we handle this phase. It's entirely the same. We do the quote-unquote weird stuff where I'm taking like all the smashes in this phase and the Brewmaster's taking the boss. So you can alternate whatever. The big thing for damage cooldowns is 1.5 minute cooldowns resend in this phase. 2 minutes do not. An important thing with this strategy is that 3-minute classes, aka Ellie Shamans playing 3-minute Ascendants, is really bad for this strategy. This strategy basically means you can't play 3-minute Ascendants. Both of our Ellie Shamans in this, or actually we only have one Ellie Shaman in for this one, they moved to 2-minute Ascendants to do this strategy because it just does not work timing-wise for your cooldowns if you're a 3-minute class, essentially. Because our goal here is to still have enough damage to push all the phases without needing to ever sit in AFK for 30 seconds to hold damage, and you're still going to have all your cooldowns with Bloodlust on the damage amp. So again, 1.5 minute CDs resend, 2-minute classes do not. That is important because 2 minutes are what we're going to use to carry our platform 1. So like our mages, for example, they are both resending in this phase. And then like our 2-minute classes, like our dragons or whatever, they're going to be holding. So we're going to go. Okay, so for this flight, I did talk about how you only were going to, or you're going to potentially not get an orb so that you could hold damage easier. For us, now that we are just speed running this platform, you want to get every single orb because we don't care about holding at all. We actually just want to kill this guy at whatever pace we kill him. So fast forward to the platform. 2 minutes are carrying this platform. They're sending. We've got all of our orbs for this platform, and we are not holding. We're just going to kill this guy. So this platform as normal, and we're going to kill him. Actually, we were slow here. Oh, we had one dead. We had a person dead this whole platform, and we still killed him the whole time. We normally were killing him like around here, I think, is when we were killing him. So as fast as you kill him is as fast as you kill him. We were a little slow because we had a person dead. And then we're going to go to the next platform. There is no need to hold on this platform because your 1.5 minutes who sent on Dimensius, they're going to get their cooldowns back on this platform, but they are going to hold their 1.5 minute cooldown. So only your 2 minutes are sending on this platform, and that will again allow their 2 minutes to regen for the actual burn. So we're going to the next platform. We are getting all of our orbs. That being said, this is the platform where we do have our damage hold. So we are maintaining our damage hold on this platform. What that means is that if you are getting to a point where you are overkilling this guy by too much, this is now where you would peel back taking an orb, for example. So if you get a couple more stacks of the raid buff, everyone gets their turbo boost gear filled out once that unlocks this week, then maybe you can think about taking an orb off of this platform. But I think on this video, because we were dead, we had one man down as well, we did just get all the orbs. 1.5 minutes and Warlocks are sending their cooldowns on this platform just like in progression. And we are going to be holding until the second win. So now we eliminated the hold in P1. We eliminated the hold on platform 1 of P2. We are still holding here. So that is the downside. We can't get rid of all of the damage holds, but we got rid of as many of them as we possibly could. And I think it ends up shortening our boss fight duration by like a minute, maybe a little bit more than a minute from all those damage holdings if we had everyone alive. So we kill them right as the wins happen. And then this allows us to go into the damage burn with all the cooldowns you would normally have. Our minute and a halves are going to be coming back because we held for that long. Everyone who had cooldowns except the Warlocks, I think, because they are obviously sitting on this platform. Everyone else has damage for this, which is exactly what we did on Prog. And so you get to do this now, minus 1 minute boss duration. So we cut off a lot of holding. Nothing at all changes about P3. It's obviously going to be shorter because you have so much more damage into the boss. But other than that, no strategy changes at all for this phase. So just a neat little thing if you and your raid is also sick of just holding damage for 30 plus seconds at a time in phase 1 and platform 1. But there we have it, guys. My quick little update to some of the mythic boss strategies for Manaforge Omega. Hopefully this video helps out, and if it does, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more guide content like this moving into the Midnight expansion and beyond. As always, shout out to all my amazing Patreons for their continued support, and I'll see everyone in the next video.